Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into one of history's most fascinating and controversial chapters, the Crusades. When you hear the word crusade, what comes to mind? For many, it's an image of aggressive European knights marching east to conquer foreign lands. But is that the full story? What if I told you the real beginning of the Crusades wasn't about conquest, but about a desperate plea for help? Let's unravel the true story of why Christians first took up the cross. To understand the First Crusade, we need to rewind the clock to the 11th century. The world looked very different then. The great power in the East was the Byzantine Empire, the continuation of the Roman Empire, with its magnificent capital at Constantinople. For centuries, this Christian empire had been a bulwark against various invaders from the East. But by the late 1000s, the Byzantines were in deep trouble. A new and formidable power had emerged, the Seljuk Turks. Originating from the steppes of Central Asia, these nomadic warriors had converted to Islam and swept across the Middle East with incredible speed. They were skilled horsemen and fierce fighters. In 1071, at the Battle of Manzikert, the Seljuk army inflicted a catastrophic defeat on the Byzantine forces. The Byzantine emperor himself was captured, and the heartland of the empire, Anatolia, what we now call modern-day Turkey, was left wide open. This wasn't just a military defeat, it was an existential crisis. Anatolia was the primary source of manpower and food for the Byzantine Empire. Over the next 2 decades, the Seljuks overran almost the entire region. Byzantine control shrank to a few coastal areas. The new emperor, Alexios I Komnenos, found himself ruling a shadow of a once mighty empire, with the Seljuk threat looming just across the water from Constantinople itself. Alexios was a brilliant strategist and diplomat, but he was desperately short on soldiers. He needed experienced, heavy cavalry to counter the Seljuk horse archers. Where could he find such troops? His gaze turned westward, to the fragmented but militarily potent kingdoms of Western Europe. He decided to do something unprecedented. He would ask the Pope for help. In 1095, Alexios sent envoys to Pope Urban II at a church council in Piacenza, Italy. Their message was simple and urgent. We are under attack. The Christians of the East are suffering. The holy places, including Jerusalem, are under the control of the Seljuks, and Christian pilgrims face great dangers. Please send us mercenaries, professional soldiers, to help us push back this tide and reclaim our lands. It's crucial to understand Alexios' intent. He wasn't asking for a holy war. He was asking for military aid, for elite troops to serve under his command. He likely envisioned a contingent of Western knights fighting as part of the Byzantine army, helping to reconquer Anatolia. He probably never imagined what would happen next. Pope Urban II saw a much bigger opportunity in Alexios' plea. The Pope's position in Europe was complex. He was in a power struggle with the Holy Roman Emperor, and the Church was trying to assert its authority over secular kings and nobles. Western Europe itself was plagued by constant brutal warfare between feudal lords. Knights with little to do but fight were causing chaos and violence across the land. Urban saw a way to solve several problems at once. He could answer the call from the Eastern Christians, boosting the prestige and influence of the papacy. He could redirect the violent energies of Europe's warrior class outward towards a common enemy, bringing a measure of peace to Christendom, what was known as the Peace of God movement. And he could frame this entire enterprise not as a simple military campaign, but as a spiritual pilgrimage, an act of penance and devotion. So in November 1095, Pope Urban II stood before a massive crowd of clergy and nobles at the Council of Clermont in France. He delivered one of the most influential speeches in history. We don't have a perfect transcript, but accounts from those who were there give us a clear picture. He spoke of the suffering of their fellow Christians in the East. He described in vivid detail the desecration of holy sites, and the dangers faced by pilgrims traveling to Jerusalem. He called upon the knights of the West, the men of war, to stop fighting each other. He urged them to turn their swords against the enemies of God instead. He declared that this was not just a war, but a sacred duty. And then he made an astonishing promise. He offered something that only the Pope could offer, a plenary indulgence. This meant that anyone who took the cross and went on this armed pilgrimage to liberate Jerusalem would receive complete remission of the sins for which they had confessed. For people in the deeply religious society of the Middle Ages, who lived in constant fear of divine judgment, this was an incredibly powerful motivator. It was a direct ticket to heaven. The response was electric. As Urban finished speaking, the crowd erupted with a spontaneous chant, Deus Wilt, God wills it. The cry spread like wildfire. Nobles and knights, rich and poor, rushed forward, tearing strips of cloth into the shape of a cross and sewing them onto their clothes. This was the birth of the Crusader, a term that literally means one signed by the cross. The idea spread far beyond the nobles Urban had initially addressed. Charismatic preachers like Peter the Hermit traveled through the towns and villages of France and Germany, inspiring tens of thousands of ordinary people, peasants, artisans, even women and children, to join the cause. This massive, unorganized wave, known as the People's Crusade, set off before the main armies were even ready, with disastrous results. But it showed the incredible power of the idea Urban had unleashed. So when we ask why the First Crusade happened, the answer isn't simple. It wasn't just about greed for land, though some were certainly motivated by that. It wasn't just about religious fanaticism, though faith was the central pillar. It was a perfect storm of circumstances. You had a desperate plea for help from the Byzantine Empire, facing imminent collapse. You had a politically savvy pope who saw an opportunity to unite a fractured Europe under his spiritual leadership and bring peace to his own lands. You had a warrior class of knights with a penchant for violence who were now given a divine sanction to do what they did best. And you had the powerful promise of spiritual salvation, a motivation that resonated deeply with people from every level of society. The Crusaders who set out in 1096 were not a single unified army with a clear plan of conquest. They were a diverse collection of people, driven by a complex mix of faith, ambition, penance, and genuine desire to help their fellow Christians and reclaim the holiest city in their world. Understanding this true beginning helps us see the Crusades not as a simple story of good versus evil, but as a profoundly human event born from a collision of desperation, faith, politics, and ambition. The road to Jerusalem would be long and brutal, but it all began with that one desperate call for help across a divided Christian world. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey back in time. If you found this interesting, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into history. Let me know in the comments what you think. What other aspects of the Crusades should we explore next? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.